Welcome to the Imperfect Dads Podcast. This is your host, Devin. We believe dads care deeply about their family and kids, but they don't always have a space to discuss what their life looks like. Our podcast is a space for dads to discuss the ups and downs of fatherhood and how they feel like they're holding it together or how they're not. Thank you for joining us for this episode. This podcast is part of the Never a Face Network. Make sure to follow them on Instagram or go to the website neverafacenetwork.com. On this episode, we have on David Reminick from Paper Mice and his new kids band, DadJoke. We talked about food, loving to cook, some of our favorite things to cook or eat, therapy, ADHD, learning to prioritize yourself, trying new things and challenging yourself, being nicer to yourself, what life lessons you teach your kids, what you unlearn when you become a parent, his time in Paper Mice, and his experience making music for kids as DadJoke and realizing you've added way too many layers to a kid song. Make sure to go to dadjokemusic.com to find the music. DadJoke is weird music for weird kids and extremely creative, silly, and fun. Just like one more thing.
Dad, just start the episode.
Oh, my bad.
Let's start with like a easy first question. How many kids you got, ages, all that good stuff?
I have one kid, a daughter named Danny. She's 11.
Nice. What's your life like with an 11-year-old these days?
Very hectic, very busy, very fun.
Mm-hmm.
She's amazing and, brilliant and just so much smarter than me. And yeah, she's a rad kid. But it's, finding a balance between working and taking care of your kid. And my partner is works full-time plus, is currently in San Francisco on a work trip. And so I'm solo parenting. And so it's finding time to do the things that I want to do is hard to balance with the things that I need to do, but not going to complain.
No, but it is I have 3 kids and I'm a stay-at-home or primary parent. And there's a never ending to-do list. And by the time the to-do list is done, and then I'm like, okay, what's something creative I can do or something for myself? Usually it's 9 or 10 p.m. And I'm like, maybe you watch a show that you want to watch. That's right. It's a very short list of what mental space I have available at 10.
Totally. No, actually, it's funny, and this may be TMI, but I had a really interesting discussion about this exact thing with my therapist yesterday.
Yeah.
Because I was like, with my partner out of town, I was like, I am going to do something just for me, after Danny goes to bed. And I've been wanting this video game. I'm not super into video games, but I do like a couple, and usually I only play video games with Gabrielle and my partner, but there's this new open world game that everyone's talking about and I've been following and wanting to see how it is. And I'm like, I'm just going to buy this game for myself and I'm just going to play it. And we went into this whole psychoanalysis of why. And I realized this really important thing, which is that the appeal of the open world video game is very similar to me to the appeal of writing music, right? And that these are both these just completely, there's no rules. There's just this completely open world where you can do anything you want and go anywhere. And when your schedule all day is so controlled, you have to, pick your kid up, take your kid there, you do this thing, do that. I feel like what I'm craving is just some kind of space where I can just really just do anything.
Mm-hmm.
And so that game or writing music, especially our kind of self-care for me,
Yeah.
So I don't know, maybe that's TMI.
No, it's not at all. If it gets 10 p.m., I will play video games also. Because it's I'll usually play games in which it's single player. I don't do online games at all, really. Because it's a very simple task in which I get to playfully and have fun doing something. I've been playing through the Resident Evil 4 remake. And it's okay, here's chapters. It's going to be chapters 1 through 18. You know what every chapter is going to look like. And you're going to have fun doing this. As opposed to all right, when I pick up my kids from school, whenever they get off the bus, anything like that, how do I connect with my 10-year-old who's just had a whole day of school? And that's murky. That's not a guarantee that I can know how to connect with them. I can know how to go run through a level, complete what I need to complete, and move on to the next level and have fun doing that. So just even that simplicity of a video game is a phenomenal disconnect. So I'm very much with you of oh, this is actually healthy if I do this for an hour. And I usually, realistically, I only have an hour or two to play a video game anyway. I'm not sitting here playing video games for 10 hours a day. No, I'm with you. It's a good thing. And I also like doing it too. In those moments though, it's funny to me to see what I give myself permission for because like it's rare for me to buy a new video game at full price. I'm usually like, well, I'll wait a couple months, wait until it gets on like some spring discount, some summer discount, and then I'll buy it. It's $30 instead of 60. It's not changing my month to month budget that much. But for some reason, like I'm like, no, don't buy it at full price. And my wife was like, I don't really care. Like, it's not going to make that much of a difference. Like, our budget isn't, if $30 ruins our budget.
No, but it feels like an extravagance. It feels like spending like $60 or $70 on a video game. It's just like I remember when I was a kid and like video game was like $20 for like Game Boy game or something like that. And like, that felt absurd to me at the time. And like now, like, there's like $80 games,
Yep.
But like, like I bought, a few days ago, I was like, I've been really just craving like, just beautiful open world games. So I bought this other game that people had been raving about because it was supposed to be the most beautiful game and everything. And I hated it. It was just like, it was like there was no like hidden treasures or like, no, like the landscape was beautiful. Everything was amazing. They thought of everything except like it wasn't fun. And like, all the things that you had to do just felt like you were doing the same thing over and over again. And back to my conversation with my therapist, like I realized like it wasn't the beauty of the open world that I wanted. That's something amazing. And I care about that. But what I wanted was just like, just go wherever you want and there's something for you everywhere. And, all the things that you're doing are different. And it's just the novelty and just the openness of it, And so I spent like $50 or $60 on that game, like not even a week ago. And then I was like we were walking the dogs right before Gabrielle left. And I'm just like, I need to let you know, I'm going to buy that other game tonight. I'm doing it. I'm sorry. I have a very supportive partner and,
It's interesting though, to get older, become a dad and like hold all these responsibilities. And like, I mean, I need my own therapy work also of like what I'm willing to give myself permission for to keep like some form of identity or like whimsy to me. As if my kids or my wife is out there being like, how dare you try a video game you didn't like? It's like, oh, okay, cool. Like, what did you not like about it? So maybe the next one isn't like that. It's probably what my wife is going to ask me. But yeah, in my head, I'm like, oh, this is extravagant. I should have been using my time so much better. I should have written a song instead of trying a video game that I didn't even like. And it's like, this is part of learning, man. Like, you're fine. Like, it's not that big of a deal. But to me, it feels like it is,
It does. And yeah, I mean, it's just when you share a budget with somebody and you're making what feels like, an extravagant purchase, like you're going to be concerned about what they think about it,
Yep.
Yeah.
You are. My birthday is in May, so it's in like 2 or 3 weeks or so. And I really like a Milk Bar, like Christina Tossi, like all of her stuff. And I was like, oh, what if I order one of her cakes as a birthday cake or something like that? My wife was like, yeah, absolutely. Go do it. That's great. Celebrate yourself. Then we'll eat the cake together. It'll be great. And then I looked at the cost and I was like, I'm not paying $60 to $70 for a cake to be shipped to me. So it's weird to find when you want to be. She does. Yeah. You can ship her. Yeah. She ships her cakes. She ships cookies. So does Levain Bakery. And I'm just like, oh, I really want that. But then like I don't know what the price point is in my head, but 65 is too much to me to ship a cake. I don't know why, but for some reason it's too much.
Cake in general, like it depends on the size of the cake. But if you're getting like a 8 to 10 inch cake, I feel like you're going to be paying that anyway.
It was a 6-inch cake. It was a 6-inch cake. That's why it would have been an 8. Maybe.
I mean, the shipping, because they have to put that with like a cold pack, They
do. Yeah, they do.
Can I tell you a funny story?
Yeah, please. Yes.
Maybe completely uninteresting for the purposes of the podcast, but
let's do it.
Related to Christina Tosi, actually. Have you seen her show Bake Squad?
I have not. No.
So she has this show on, I think it's on Netflix, called Bake Squad. Okay. It's a wonderfully fun show, and it's her and I think 3 or 4 other like dessert chefs. One of them specializes in like decorations or decorating. Sorry. One of them does like chocolate stuff. One of them, anyway, there's like a kind of a variety of people.
Yeah.
And basically they compete against each other. It's like very informal because they're all famous already. And whoever wins gets to take on whatever the person, like someone comes in asking for something for like a wedding or a party or a bar mitzvah, whatever. And, and they all make a pitch and they have to win the person over and then they get to cater the thing. Long story here. Wow. This is but one of the people on that show was offering a pie making class in Chicago. That, I love to bake. I love to cook. And good, Gabriella was like, found that our credit card company was offering like an experience to like you could only get tickets if you had our credit card.
Yeah.
And Gabriella was like, do you want to go to this thing? And I was like, it's with, what's her name? Maya Camille from that show. She has a bakery in Chicago called Justice of the Pies, which I love a good pun. But I was like, yeah, let's do it. I'll do that. So I went to this thing like by myself. It was me and one other person, with the only people who went there alone. But we got to like meet her, and she autographed. We got her her cookbook. She autographed it. She taught us how to make these like mini s'mores tarts, I guess, that were just ridiculously good.
Okay, so I've been like primary parent since 2019 or so, and for the entirety of our marriage, I've always done all the cooking, all the grocery shopping, all the baking, and everything. And I love the opportunity to talk to another dad about that of just like, oh, hey, do you also like cooking? Because for a while it was like, oh, am I like, my wife felt like she should know how to do all that stuff. And it was like, I actually care more. And like, you don't like, this is something she was doing because she felt obligated to do it, not because she wanted to do it. So it was a really fun, like, not negotiation, but a realization in our marriage of like, oh, this is something I love to do. And you're doing because you think it's helpful, but you don't care for it. So it's been really fun to like expand in that world. Like I love discovering new spices. I will try to bake pretty much anything and just be like, cooking is my most comfortable creative outlet because it always has a purpose. Like if I write a song and I want you to connect with it and I want you to feel an emotion about it, I can't determine that, but I know how to make a cookie that you'll like. And I'm pretty consistent with that.
So wait, so what's your favorite cuisine to eat, and what's your favorite cuisine to cook?
Okay, I think the one I like to eat out the most is, okay, there's a lot of answers for this. If we were just in New York a week or two ago, and because we went and saw Colbert before, he goes off air and all that, my brother and sister-in-law like work at Columbia, so they live on like the Upper West Side. So we went to an Italian place, and like going to New York and going to an Italian place or a Greek place or something like that is like one of my favorite experiences ever. If I'm just like around town and it's not a special event, I'll get Thai food out and like Asian food that I have no business trying to cook because I have no idea what the hell I'm doing. But yeah, Thai food, Indian food is like delicious to me, and I have no idea what I'm doing if I'm trying it. So that eating out is like one of my favorite experiences ever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about cooking though?
Cooking, okay, if I'm going to cook it myself, I got 3 kids that are all under the age of 10, so it's always ketchup and cheese focused. Sadly, realistically,
Ketchup is a cuisine now. I love that.
ketchup is it's a whole food group. What did I make the other day? I bought like a new. I'll usually, if like for my wife and I'll try to do a good protein with like a good marinade or something like that and cook it correctly. Treat it with respect how I cook it, and then just have like a good rice and a carb or something like that with it, and then try to do a vegetable. And so I try to put most of my focus on the protein and making it taste phenomenal, and then kind of fleshing it out with like some basic carbs. I like baking bread a lot. So, baking some bread, maybe doing some rice or something like that with it as well.
That's awesome. Yeah, I am also the cook in our house. Years ago, before Danny was born, I was in academia. I was teaching a few colleges in the area. But my teaching schedule was like I'd teach a couple classes in the morning and then come home.
Yeah.
Whereas Gabriella was working a 9 to 5.
Yeah.
So, we were kind of sharing the cooking duties. And one day Gabriella's just like, you've got a lot more time at home. Like, why don't you do the cooking? And I was just like, well, yeah, why don't I do the cooking? And so I'm ADHD. I just like hyper fixated on like learning how to cook and like watching videos on knife skills and the mother sauces and trying to learn all this stuff, and like just became like super like way overboard. And I've forgotten how to do all the mother sauces. And besides, we're vegetarian, so most of them I can't do because there's like veal stock and stuff in them. But I took on cooking and baking and everything kind of pretty seriously and really I enjoy it. I don't like weeknight cooking. I don't like having to cook. I do a lot of I'm not in academia anymore. I left a few years ago, but I teach private lessons now, and that is usually an after school thing. And so I don't like finishing up several hours of lessons and then having to cook. But on the weekends or having friends over, love making, whatever.
Yeah. What's one of your favorite like dinners to make? Like, let's say it's a Sunday afternoon. You've got like 2 to 3 hours to make a meal or something like that for a solid Sunday night dinner. What would be like a go-to or something like, oh man, I'm really excited to make this?
So my kind of go-to, the easiest thing for my favorite thing, I don't need to look at a recipe. I've been making it and kind of honing it for years, is this pasta alla vodka sauce.
Okay.
That actually has a story behind it. My mother is a retired food critic. She was a food critic on Long Island for 25 years. And there's a restaurateur out there that we became friendly with. Usually food criticism, you have to stay anonymous, like to do it right, because you don't want them knowing who you are and giving you special treatment. But through just being in the business for a while, my mom just kind of connected with this guy and never reviewed his stuff, but became friends with him. And so every now and again for a special occasion, we'd go to his restaurant and, he'd try to give us free food and we would overpay and all this. But my sister and I were both kind of young and we were both vegetarians. And so it was an Italian restaurant. And he'd read us all the specials and then he'd say, and anything else that you might want. And so we'd be like, well, do you have like pasta alla vodka? Because we loved that at the time. And he'd go in the back, like, oh, we can make that. And he would bring up just the most delicious vodka sauce you've ever had, like not even on the menu, you know?
Just because you knew how to do it. Yeah.
Yeah. He also made like the most ridiculous chocolate souffle and like a cheesecake that was, anyway.
Yeah.
I digress.
Listen, I already told you, New York Italian food is something where I'm like, this is going to be delicious. It's going to be like fantastic. So trust me, I understand where you're like, oh, dude, but this was also good. Oh, dude, but this was also good. Oh, dude, but this was also good. So I totally get it.
So when my mom was retiring, I said, can you ask him now that now that you're retiring, can you I ask him for the recipe? Because, I feel like it might've been uncomfortable earlier or whatever. Mm-hmm. And so he gave my mom the recipe with the stipulation that I not share it with anybody.
Yeah.
And the recipe that he gave her was very bare bones. Like it was kind of just the ingredients and a very kind of, I don't know, sparse description of what to do. And so for like years, I struggled to turn this into actual food mm-hmm. And try to make it into actual vodka sauce. And I finally, a number of years ago, probably more than a decade, figured it out. And I've been slowly kind of making it my own and adding a couple of things and changing the way I cook it. And so we'll have people over and I'll make that as the main course, a salad with this really good kind of mustard dressing and roasted broccolini. That's kind of my go-to.
Nice. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So what I'm really hearing is that next time I'm in Chicago, I need to make sure to coordinate with you for a Sunday night dinner, and I'll like make some bread or something that ahead of time to bring so we can enjoy it together.
It can be any night. Yes, it doesn't have to be Sunday.
Okay. Good to know. Good to know.
Yes, but that would be amazing. Yes. And especially if you're bringing bread, like you don't need like a password or anything at the door, but like if you have a loaf of bread, like
so just come on in. That's fine. Okay.
Yeah, you got the bread. Come on. Yeah. Even if it's not you, it's like, oh, you got the bread. That's all good.
That's fine.
Yeah.
That's cool. We'll figure out something to connect on. It'll be great.
Homemade bread is I'm not good with yeast. I
really
fail all the time. Yeah.
I have made enough mistakes where I can predict it a little bit better now. I feel like because I was already baking before the pandemic, but yeah, whenever the pandemic hit, I remember going to Sam's Club or whatever and buying like a 25-pound bag of all-purpose flour and a 25-pound bag of bread flour and being like, let's do this. This is my identity now. Here we go.
You're the bread guy.
I was the bread guy for the neighborhood. I mean, like, what else was I going to do? So I was just sitting at home with kids. So do you ever have your daughter, like, what's your experience like if you have your daughter help you with cooking? I'm very controlling in the kitchen. I'm very much like, I want this to turn out a certain way and I need to da-da-da-da-da. So I'm bad at letting my kids help me and I need to be better at that. How are you with letting your daughter help you in the kitchen?
I am mixed. When she was really young, we had this, I forget what it's called, but it's like it's like a little tower, like a stool surrounded by sides where the kid can stand up.
Yep.
I forget what that thing was called so many years ago.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about though. Yeah.
And we had one of those for her and she would like to watch what I was doing or help peel the garlic. And, like she memorized the recipe for hummus and for all these things that I would make. And, but then the older she got, she became kind of less interested in doing what I was doing. I wanted to do what she was doing. Mm-hmm. Recently, when I've been inviting her to join me cooking, she's actually been more interested and has been like really curious. And I'm trying to describe all the steps and what's happening. And she's very helpful. I'm just, I have some anxiety in general, and especially in the kitchen around an open flame with my child right there and with the sharp knife and everything. Yep. So but I'm getting better at that. And with me getting better and being more open, she seems to be getting more interested. I also, side note, I feel like it's an important responsibility for parents. And just side note, I did not get this as a child, to teach your kids how to cook.
Yeah.
My mother, being a food critic, very rarely had to cook for us because we were always eating out.
Yeah.
And so I learned how to cook, well after, I guess even after grad school. I was a horrible cook in grad school.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I think sending a child out into the world with a set of skills, empathy being one of them, being able to cook being another one.
Yeah.
I think those are really important life skills that I want to impart upon her. And so I realized I need to get started on that with a little more regularity than I have been.
I'm with you. I learned how to cook mostly because I'm the youngest of three and both my parents worked full time. So it was like, okay, we get home from school and it was like, okay, I'm hungry. And my parents like, we're not going to be home for like 2 hours. So like, you have to go figure it out. And it's like my mom would teach, like, I mean, also like most of my cooking was like buttered noodles with Parmesan cheese and like, like ground beef tacos with like barely any seasoning on them, like stuff that you would expect, like a teenager to eat a
Totally.
lot of, but
A lot
like
of ketchup-based
a
foods.
lot of ketchup and cheese-based foods, exactly. But I feel the same of like, I want my daughters and my son to know how to cook and be comfortable with it and everything. And it's just interesting to notice my own energy of like, if I'm cooking and I'm hungry, then I don't really want their help because I just want to get to the end result of being able to eat the food. But like if it's like bake, I'm actually better at letting them help me bake because I feel like they can do the measuring cup. We can teach like fractions and stuff like that. But like if it's like, okay, now I need to flip the chicken, I need to flip something in the pan so it can cook on the other side. I don't want them to go in that and like switch it over whenever there's like grease in the pan. And if they flip it too hard, then they have grease fly in their face. And I'm like, or like other cooking thing that I think is fun. I think it's really funny to be a parent and realize what you have to tell your kids because they wouldn't know it otherwise. The other day, one of my daughters like something popped out of the toaster and one of my daughters went to grab it and it was like kind of stuck in there. I was like, oh, just so you know, never put metal in a toaster. It could kill you. And I'm like, well, and they're like, oh, I wasn't going to. And I was like, no, I'm just telling you that like, I realized in this moment, you don't know that
I never told you that.
I never told you this, but I just realized how this could escalate while I'm also taking care of other things in which you could take a fork and try it out and then electrocute yourself. So don't ever do that. And they're like, okay, I wasn't going to. And now I'm especially not going to. And I'm like, yeah, sorry, that came on too strong. I just don't want you to die because that's one of my.
Maybe I came on too strong.
I came on too
I
strong.
just don't want you to die.
I just do. So
That's pretty strong.
It's great to realize, the anxieties you're going to pass on to your kid. At least in the moment, you can realize it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. No, I'm totally the same way though. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, oh, that's too much. They didn't realize that. And then you're like, no, okay, how could I have done that better? Just not, but also I was probably trying to do 20 things at once. So once I saw that took priority and it jumped to the top of the list real quick in that moment. So I had to communicate it.
No, I feel like when something like that happens, Gabriella will walk up to Danny and be like, sweetie, you probably don't want to do that because blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, blah, the house is going to burn down. What are you doing? Like, you'll never have fingers anymore.
Exactly.
I just freak out right away. And it's like, yeah, we're just very different people in that respect. And, my anxiety, which I've given a name to, by the way, like, my friend, she named her anxiety. She named it Susan. That way, she's always like, Susan showed up, but I was able to get her to leave. And so recently I gave my anxiety a name as well. And it's definitely, it hasn't changed anything, but it's fun to have a name for it. Yeah.
I think Frank Turner has a lyric that's like, I've got a visit from an old dear friend and it's called anxiety. And that always sticks in my head of like, oh, you're back here. I didn't know you were doing visits today, but thank you. I would have faked that I wasn't home if I knew you were going to arrive today. So thank you for this.
Did you see Inside Out 2?
Yeah, no. I think both Inside Out movies, I would say my favorite thing about them is I know kids who had panic attacks, who had all these emotions whenever we were growing up. No one called it a panic attack if you were 12 or 13. They just thought you were overreacting. And to have kids now have the language to be like, no, you're having a panic attack. Your nervous system thinks it's going to die. Like, and this is really intense. You need someone to meet you where you are. Is I'm like, oh my God, I didn't know this language would ever be available for kids. And here is Inside Out 2 creating a beautiful story around all of these emotions that kids feel every single day. I love it. It's fantastic. Yeah.
It was unreal. Yeah. And the portrayal of anxiety in that movie in particular, like not just the panic attack, but especially the panic attack, but like their portrayal of anxiety as being like, I don't remember. She just wants to be helpful.
Yeah,
she's got lots of great ideas.
She's trying to predict the future. Yeah, at all times.
And and a lot of the time she can be really helpful. A lot of the time her ideas are correct. Mm-hmm. But she's just so overactive, and to the extent that when she gets all revved up into that like whirlwind, that scene for me was actually like I had a tough time getting through that scene. Like, I mean, not in a like I need to leave the theater, but like it was like really moving for me. It was like really because I felt like completely seen and like understood in that scene. I was just like, well, this is what it feels like, and this is where it comes from.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was even thinking about
No,
it's rare to see things like that in a movie. That really just understand that aspect of you that you've struggled with for so long.
And I love that in both those movies, I think they do such a good job of not demeaning like an emotion or something like that. Because it's not being like, oh, anxiety has no purpose here. Anxiety is useless. Anxiety is harmful or anything like that. It is kind of saying like, hey, when you get wrapped up in one emotion, similar to the first movie, if you get too wrapped up in joy, you're actually ignoring other things. It's that constant, how do we hold both of these at once? Anxiety does have a purpose. Anxiety does motivate you. Anxiety does make you accomplish things. It does. But like whenever it becomes too much, then it is harmful. It makes you become someone who you never thought you could become, and not in a good way.
Going back to my therapist here.
You're good, man.
My old therapist was really helpful. I mean, my new therapist is great, don't get me wrong, but like my old therapist was the one who kind of started me on actually managing my anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that was important was kind of naming these, what are called automatic negative thoughts, or ants, right? And there's all these different types. And like once I'm able to recognize that that's what's happening, like, like that person looks pissed. They're probably pissed at me. Like once I can recognize that, like, that's ridiculous. They call it mind reading, right? Yeah. That there's no reason for me to think that. And I can identify that as not an aspect of me, but an aspect of my anxiety. I can shut it down. I can say like, well, that's not reasonable. Thank you for the thought. Now get the hell out of here,
Much, yeah.
And being able to just recognize those things and name them, it's not going to go away. I'm not going to stop having these thoughts, but they're less intrusive. They have less power over me, and I can send them away with greater frequency and greater assertiveness.
Yes. Well, because if not, then you assume it's identity and shortcomings. It's you look at someone who has like an angry face, and you're like, oh man, what did I do to piss this person off? And it's like you're actually making yourself very self-important in their life. Like to some extent, it's like
totally
it's
all about me, man. It's all about
exactly.
me.
And it's like, no, you probably had a previous experience where you did an action, you didn't realize it made someone angry, and then they expressed that anger at you, and you're trying to protect yourself by getting ahead of that. But like, just go ask that person how they're doing. And like, then you might be able to know that. But like to immediately assume, it's one thing that I think is fascinating about raising children is trying to teach them a healthy level of what they're actually responsible for. So like, I don't want my kids to feel responsible for my mood and my happiness, but also they have to understand that who they are and how they are affects my mood and happiness, but they're not responsible for my mood and happiness. So like, that is that's really
well said. Yeah.
That's so complex at the same time though. But like, I know people who felt responsible and probably still do feel responsible for how their parents' happiness is and how they feel validated by their life. And I'm like, oh, that's not your responsibility. But you were probably made to make it feel like it is. So it's real complex and it's real messy. And I'm not going to act like I know how to do it. But that's really, I'm glad you have that tool now, at least to be like, this might not be about me. And my assumption that it is, it's just me trying to protect myself probably in some way from someone expressing hate or dissatisfaction with me, because that sucks to have expressed towards me.
Now that I know, now that you said that, I realize like, oh yeah, it also could be just me being too self-important and thinking everything's about me.
But like at the same time, though, it's like, because I think, yeah, it is what it is. But yeah, sometimes like, oh, I bet this person's mad at me. It's like, hey, you probably right now in this moment, that's an indicator to me to be like, hey, are you centered? Are you out here being like, oh man, I bet my actions are ruining other people's days? And it's like, why would you like calm down? Like find your integrity, figure out how to live within it, and you'll be okay. But if you assume everyone you interact with is mad at you, first question should be, are you doing stuff that makes everyone mad at you? Deal with that maybe.
For the record, I'm not.
Good. That's good. That's good.
Just to be clear, yeah.
Yeah.
It's only occasionally.
It's okay, but every once in a while. And it's probably whenever I think I'm being funny and it turns out I'm being mean is usually when that happens.
Yeah.
But that's cool. I'm glad you've, man, I am a big believer in therapy just because, you don't know what your habits are. You don't know what your patterns are. And it does take a therapist looking at you being like, hey, why do you think that person's mad at you? Have you ever asked that question? And if you're like, oh, no, I thought it was truth that they're mad at me. And they're like, oh, probably not. Can we talk about that? Can we evaluate that? And then you go down that rabbit hole of figuring out why you feel that way about someone.
I am also a big proponent of therapy. I think it's like, oh gosh, I'm going to start ranting.
Good. Go for it, man. That's part of this. You're good. Yeah.
No, I think, as being as this is a podcast about dads, I really do feel that as men, we have a certain responsibility to kind of undo some of the negative things associated with the typical conception of what it is to be a man, or this idea that men shouldn't talk about their feelings, they shouldn't cry, they shouldn't feel these feelings. this is, I can't take credit for these ideas. There's a really amazing book by Bell Hooks. I don't know if you've read it, called The Will to Change. That was just like life changing for me. And she talks in the book about the importance of teaching men and boys to be able to feel the softer feelings, feel things like love, and be able to express those things. And because socially acceptable emotions for men is typically rage.
Mm-hmm.
And that's pretty much it. And so what happens is you hold in all your emotions and then it explodes.
Mm-hmm.
And if the idea of what it is to be a man doesn't contain the rage, if you can be a man and you can express those emotions, you can not see something like femininity as a negative quality in yourself or in somebody else.
Yep.
All of a sudden we become more. Society can be more equitable, and we can have a lot healthier generations of young men, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
And so therapy, I think, is like a hugely important aspect of that. And I think it's stigmatized across cultures. Typically men are, I don't need therapy. I just, talk to my friends or whatever. And I think it's a totally different thing to talk to your friends than to talk to your therapist.
Yeah.
And I don't think you should use your friends like therapists.
You should be able to relate about what's happening in your life with your friends. But a therapist, I think, is there to help you acknowledge the patterns and in which ways you keep hitting your head against the same wall. In which case, your friends will probably look at you and be like, hey, it seems like you've run into this problem again. Are you okay? Where a therapist can be like, oh, here's your pattern. Here are the tools to help you break this cycle. But why would you expect your friends to know how to help you break cycles? And I think if you want to go with stereotypes, I do think the men brain or whatever is usually focused on problem solving, understanding patterns, stuff like that. So usually that's what I will tell men if they're like, I don't know if I should do therapy. It's like, oh, it's just acknowledging your patterns and then coming up with a new system of problem solving to not repeat the pattern you don't want to be a part of anyway.
Mm-hmm. I mean, what's the harm in that? What's so bad
What's the
about
harm in
that?
it?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
and by the way, I don't want it to seem like I was thinking I see this as a kind of a negative societal vision of what men are. I don't think this is necessarily a universal view of what men are. I want to see it go. I want to see it go the way of the dodo. I don't think it's a good way for anybody to be. I think we should be in touch with our emotions and able to express them. And
you should
be able to, I think she says in that book, to be able to, I don't remember the exact words, but basically to be able to both give and receive love. I think that's an extremely important thing for anybody. Yeah.
I think, I think kind of what you're getting at too is that I think the ceiling is set pretty low for men and their ability to, and their the belief that they have depth. And I think men have just as much emotional depth. They have just as much of an inner world as anyone else. But I think societally, it's what's been expected of them is go to work, financially provide, and that's it. And I think that's a shallow definition. I think men have a lot more to them than that. And once you start telling them hey, actually, your emotions are welcomed here, your love is welcomed here, then that's whenever you see a self-actualized man, someone who's oh my gosh, I didn't know it was okay for me to express this. I didn't know it was okay for me to go beyond the definition I had. Because for a lot of grandparents' generation, stuff like that, it was scarcity, it was survival mode. They didn't know where the next meal would come from. They weren't going to think about their emotions. They were too busy trying to think, can my family eat today? And so they lived out of anxiety and fear to make sure that needs were met constantly. And it's the reality for some people still. I'm not going to act like it's not. But if you have the opportunity to explore the depth of yourself, do it. Just do it. Don't live in a scarcity mindset. Don't live in a fear mindset. Live in a, hey, what if my love is good? What if who I am is good? And then share that with the people you love and see what happens.
Totally. Yeah. I feel like as a I was primary with my daughter for many years. Stay at home dad. I quit my job. I was for I know you did that too. So I feel like that I think a lot of people. I remember taking her out around town and people. What? Let me step back. I feel like I got a lot of resistance from people in my family who saw the role of being a father as being the provider and saw my career as being the primary thing, and not Gabriella's career. Why are you the one? And it's well, there's so many reasons, but that I think that the resistance to that was purely focused on gender, on me being a man.
Yeah.
And then I'm curious about your experience of being the primary, being the stay-at-home dad, and walking around with your child, people's reactions of being oh, you're such a good dad, and it's just really, out with my,
Yep.
or people, like I'm doing the bare minimum here. I'm taking my
Bare
kid out.
minimum.
That's all you see.
Yep.
And that's not like, or so the worst was like, oh, are you babysitting today? Which
Yeah.
is, probably the least feminist thing you could say in that moment, because what you're saying is the woman's role is to be the caretaker for the child. And so you're just an employee in your own family taking care, so I'm curious if you experienced much of that, as a
Yes.
stay-at-home dad.
I do remember like going to doctor's appointments and like having all 3 kids with me, being there by myself. Because my wife works full time, and my responsibility to the family, how I make my family better, is by taking full responsibility of scheduling the doctor's appointments, take them out of school so they can make it on time to the doctor. Like all this really basic logistical stuff that takes up mental load, but like it's your job if you're the primary parent. Go do it. And like, doctors or whatever being like, oh, what's their birthday? And knowing the birth date immediately. And people have been like, wow, you knew that quickly. And being like, yeah, I was there for all 3 births. Why would this not be ingrained in my head of when their birthdays are? These are identity changing moments to me and my family. Why would I not know them immediately? And I never had anyone say, are you babysitting? But I always had like the acknowledgement of like, I am walking into a more feminine space in which they are not used to masculine energy, and just trying to respect the space is basically,
Absolutely.
and not try to ever be like, no, you need to welcome me. It's like, no, this, like, you guys need support. I need support. So like, how do we navigate this? And this is normally more geared towards feminine energy and women and stuff, because more people are likely going to be women than men that show up. So they're going to gear towards you more than towards me. And I totally get that and respect that.
Yeah. Yeah. I just want to be clear. I wasn't rude to people who said that.
Yeah, exactly.
My response was when they say, are you babysitting? I said, no, this is my child.
Yep.
I wasn't snarky about it. It's just like,
No.
this is my kid,
This is my kid. And it
Not a
is
baby
hard
kid.
in those moments, because like to me, that is to give that person asking that question some grace. If they're just trying to make, because you're probably something they didn't expect to see. So like, oh, are you babysitting? Now what's going on here? I don't usually expect a man to be solo at a playground with their kid enjoying themselves. Like, what's this? What's going on here is what I think they're trying to say. But yeah, the jerk in me wants to be like, no, I just found this kid. I took him out of a shopping cart. Like, if he sees some people
fell off a bus,
screaming,
I grabbed him.
like that's what the jerk inside of me wants to say. And I'm like, no, man, they're just trying to be polite, and like they don't, and
No,
like
totally.
just don't take it to that extreme of you being such a jerk because someone wanted to connect and wasn't sure. Like,
I wasn't a jerk. Come on now.
you are. I would be.
I'm sorry. My dogs are barking. I'm going to bring them in here.
You're
Sorry.
good.
Give me one
Bring
second.
him in. Love it. You're good. Okay.
I'm going to hold.
Hold that dog. That's a cute dog. Is that like a Bichon Frise?
You're right. Can I tell you her story? It's actually really funny.
Yes, do it.
First of all, you're the first person who's ever like correctly identified her just like straight away. Like no one's ever gotten that before, because she's not cut like a Bichon typically is.
Yeah.
But so both of our dogs are rescues. The one over here, the black and white dog over here, his name is Kiko. We got him first. He was 8 months old. He was a breeder surrender. He's a Shih Tzu Cocker Spaniel Poodle mix that they were apparently trying to make a thing, which I get because he's an amazing dog.
Yeah.
I guess for whatever reason, they couldn't get rid of him. So they just dumped him at a shelter. I think he's got his eyes disappear into the black of his fur. So I think maybe they just couldn't photograph him well and they couldn't get anyone interested in him. But he's like, just like absolutely perfect dog. He's amazing.
That's awesome.
We had him for about a year, and Gabriella and Danny were just like, we need a second dog. And so we went to we were looking, we had 2 dogs a number of years ago that were amazing, but they shed like you wouldn't believe. One was a terrier, a Jack Russell Terrier, and one was a mutt. And we're like, okay, we got to get hypoallergenic dogs this time. So Kiko was the first one, and we were looking at on Pet Finder for all these hypoallergenic dogs, and this one shelter had a bunch of appointments, like a bunch of dogs, like 12 or 13 dogs that all looked like her, that had all come in at once, and they were all named after pastas. So like there was like linguine. I think her name was like penne or something. The spaghetti. I forget which one it was.
Yeah.
And so all the dogs had appointments except for her, and all the dogs were like under a year old or around there, but she was 5. And we're like, do we want a 5-year-old dog? I don't know. And so we went into the place, and we had to bring Kiko along because you have to have the dog meet the other dog.
You do. Yep.
And so Gabriella and Danny went in to go, bring the other dog out. And I was staying there with Kiko, and I had to pee like I couldn't describe to you, like so badly. And so I'm sitting there and waiting for them to get back, and they come out. And I don't see a dog or anything. I thought maybe they were bringing the dog out in a second. And I just say to Gabriella, take Kiko. I really have to go to the bathroom. And everybody, both the 2 of them and the person from the shelter, looked so confused as to what was happening. The reason they looked confused is because they were holding Vela here, or Spaghetti, or whatever her name was at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't even acknowledge it because I didn't see her, because she was just like, she was definitely round, but she was this scrawny, like yellowed, like just, she looked just, she looked awful. She smelled horrible. They had given her a
Yeah.
bath and she was still just like caked with filth.
Oh, that sucks. Yeah.
And so I came out of the bathroom and they were sitting there like in the corner, and she was in the corner just like cowering and so terrified.
Yeah.
And I looked down at her. I was just like, I was, I was surprised. I was like, I gave this look kind of like, this is the dog, like
Yeah.
I don't act like that. I don't think like that. But I looked down at her just like really surprised.
Yeah.
And I was like, you look so scared. And then the person says, well, she calms down if you hold her like a baby. And I was like, what?
Oh,
And so I held her like a baby, and she calmed down. She looked up at me, and I was just like, okay, like this is our
good.
dog here.
They're taking this dog.
And
Yeah.
so she was rescued from a hoarding situation. They had like 14 dogs or
That's
something like that.
awful.
And she was the mom of all of them.
Yeah.
But we didn't know anything about what kind of breed she was. They
Yeah.
told us she's a poodle mix of some sort. She's probably got a lot of different things in her.
Mhm.
And so, our old dog, the Mutt, we never got the DNA testing done on him. And I regretted it, because
Yeah.
I would have really liked to know what he was. He was so cute. I won't go into that. But
Yeah.
we decided on sale the DNA testing for some holiday, and we're like, let's do it.
Yeah.
So we did it, and I remember Gabriella was out of town, and we were on the phone, and I just found out. I opened the thing, and they have like a family tree set up where you
Mhm.
see the dog and their parents, and it says your dog's 100% Bichon Frise. Both of their parents are 100% Bichon Frise. Both of their, and it was just like this
Yeah.
Bichon family tree of all just like these little marshmallow dogs like going down. It's like, this was 100% Bichon Frise. Like, we didn't think, I never even thought
Yeah.
of Bichon breed I would have anything to do with. They're so like expensive and like hoity-toity kind of looking. And it turns out we had one, and she is just the sweetest, most darling
They're
little,
sweet dogs.
so like,
Yep.
yeah. And now she's like, it turns out I after, when we brought her home, I gave her a bath, and I remember yelling out to Gabriella, it turns out she's white. Like, I was surprised. I couldn't
she's
tell.
So dirty. That's
But she's
Man.
such a sweet little princess now, and
Yeah.
very happy.
My parents had 2 Bichon Frises for a good decade, maybe, or something like that, and one of them
No
was
wonder
white,
you
so
recognize-
similar color to that. Yeah. So I was like, is that like the nose shape and the hair and all that looks very similar to them. So
For a
how-
brief period of time, I was trying to get her cut like a Bichon with the ridiculous marshmallow head. And I bring her to the groomer, and I'd be like, give her the Bichon cut, give her the and she'd come back kind of looking like this, and I'd be like, what's going on? Like, why aren't they doing it? They never really explained it, and I realized that eventually that it's just like, it's a very careful, very specific thing. And I think maybe it was just like too
we're
much.
good.
I don't like the way it looks, but I feel like she's a princess. Let her look like a princess for a little while, Like, I want her to feel like,
you're trying to glamour up. I get it.
exactly.
Totally. Okay. So before we wrap up, the reason why I even know you exist is because you wrote a kids album. So I should probably make sure you have a chance to say, hey, what's your kids album? When is it going to come out? All that good stuff.
Yeah, let's talk about it. it. So yeah, my kids' music project is called DadJoke.
Mhm.
One word, capital D
Yeah.
and capital J, but it's still, one word. And the album is called Fun Intended. Hopefully you get that joke, because it's a dad
don't.
joke.
I don't. What's the
You know
fun
the expression pun intended or no pun intended?
Yeah.
So it's yeah, exactly. And this is the kind of humor that a dad joke is, which is why all of these things, these are appropriate names.
It's supposed to just die. The joke is, I mean, that's just the joy of a dad joke, because it is supposed to just be kind of dead on arrival. Is I feel like the intention of most dad jokes is to be like, just like, yeah, I said that. And yeah, there's humor to it. You'll find it.
Yeah, what's it called? One of my students, she came up with the title. She was telling me about just like something phrases her cousin had misheard, and she said, fun intended. And I was like, that's the greatest thing I've ever heard. That's my album title. You have to let me use that. Like,
Yep.
And she was like,
yeah, that's awesome.
But so I've been as a composer. I would say like a capital C composer. I was like writing notated music, things like string quartets,
Mhm.
concert music. You might call it, for years, which I really loved and was starting to kind of go pretty well until the COVID came along.
Yep.
And all these great opportunities kind of fizzled out. And I started writing. I had been writing a piece as part of that, a piece for, most of the music I was writing at that time, I had like a very specific thing that I was really enjoying doing, which was writing pieces for people who singing performers. right?
Okay.
Seeing someone play the guitar and sing is an everyday thing, but seeing a string quartet sing is a little unusual. Or seeing a flute solo where they also sing is unusual. And that was the kind of thing I was really interested in writing.
Cool.
And so I got a pretty big grant to write this piece for singing viola player, like a half-hour long song cycle. And so I wrote this piece, and the text for the piece I think Danny was like 4 at the time. All of the text that was going to be sung in this half-hour long piece were stories that she made up.
Cool. Yeah.
And I would record her telling the stories, and then I would transcribe them, and I would give her a chance to edit them. And then I set all of that to music over the course of a half-hour long piece. And I loved it. Oh my, it was so much fun. I didn't think that I was going to just stop doing the kind of composing I was doing. But all this time, ever since she was born, I was making up little songs for her. And around this time, I just kind of finishing up that piece, and a lot of the opportunities I had were kind of falling away. I was like, well, I really like I like working with kids. I like making stuff for kids. What if I tried to actually like turn some of my stuff into actual songs? And so I just started doing it, and started a YouTube channel. And the first song I put out is called "This Is a Duck," and it's like a 1 minute long post-punk song.
Yeah.
That I've been playing in this band called Paper Mice for 20 years, and it sounds like Paper Mice. It was basically a Paper Mice song, a lot of yelling, and it's a very silly song. And Danny helped me make the video for it, and people liked it, and I was like, this is really fun, and a math rock Reddit page picked it up, and like
nice.
So there's a brief period where it got like a lot of views, and then like it was a math rock community, so a lot of dislikes as well. People,
of course, every time, yes.
But not all my stuff sounds like that. But I started to realize that like this is an outlet for my creativity that feels really natural and fun. And all of the stuff I was doing in my composing, I could do all of the same kinds of stuff. All of my musical interests that I was kind of exploring in a kind of a more academic realm, I could still do in this area. Like I'm obsessed with complicated rhythms and kind of labyrinthine harmonic progressions and stuff like that. And I realized I could explore all of this in kids' music and have a really good time and connect with kids and like So when the project started, I called it Dr. Dave the Music Doctor, which nobody could remember, nor could they spell, because it was DR or it was DOCTOR, and it was just a bad name. I figured I'd started, I would stick with it. Okay, and then the name DadJoke came to me. I was like, no one's really used that name. Like there's not anything. And I was like, how is that not taken? That's a great name for a kids music project. I love it. And everyone I asked was like, yeah, do it. So I changed the name of the project. And so, it was about 5 or 6 years ago, I started doing it, but I was just putting out videos and finally decided like, I'm going to do an actual album and try to start taking this more seriously. And so, I hired a publicist and actually got nice photos taken and trying to start a kind of a new career as a children's music.
Nice.
And I love it so far.
Yeah. Do you do most of your recording at home? I'm assuming do you have like some form of a home studio setup, or do you actually go to like a studio to record it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Both.
Okay, cool.
The first couple songs I did, I did in a studio. The bassist in my band in Paper Mice, his name is Taylor Hales. He's a recording engineer at Electrical Audio in Chicago. And so I, got some time with him, and he's a wonderful, incredible engineer, producer, fantastic friend. And so I don't really like recording.
Okay.
Well, I hadn't in the past. I find it very stressful.
Yeah, it's a lot of perfection. Your perfectionist tendencies can come out. You can overthink it. It can be a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was a saxophonist for many years. I did a master's degree in saxophone. I was a classical saxophone player. And anytime I had to record that stuff was like the worst day, because it was, all I heard was how bad I was. All I heard was like, that note's out of tune. This is a mistake. Yeah.
Too breathy, too reedy. Yeah.
Yeah. Breathy and reedy. Yeah. And recording was just awful for me. Even with my band, I just never really liked it. But recording with Taylor, I love. It's just so laid back. I don't feel the pressure. So, we did the 3 or 4 songs together. This is a Duck being one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And then I said, okay, well, I need to start getting a setup at home so I can kind of do this without having to spend so much money.
Yep.
So I got myself some studio monitors. I started using Logic.
Yeah.
Kind of slowly upping my equipment. And actually, Taylor, we haven't done it recently, but he's been giving me mixing lessons so I can do more of the work at home.
Yeah.
And so a lot of the songs that I had produced coming up to the album, a lot of them I'd done at home, and they sounded, I think, pretty good. But for the album, I went back into the studio and re-recorded drums, because a lot of the drums I was using, what's it called? Superior Drummer 3 for them. Uh, fake drum. I mean, they're real drum sound, but it's like, you do it with MIDI and they sound great, but a real drummer is a totally different story. So I redid some of the drums for some of the tracks with the drummer from my band, John Carroll, who's an incredible drummer, also a wonderful friend. Re-recorded some of the guitar stuff. So I made, some of it was recorded here, some of it was recorded there, and we did all the Taylor did all the mixing for it. And so I think it's a pretty good representation a much better representation of the songs than what I had done on my own at home.
That's cool. That's awesome.
Yeah.
When's it like come out? Do you know like when the album's supposed to come out? Did it already come out? All that stuff.
It comes out on June 12th.
Okay.
Yeah, that was a very simple question I'm giving you. There's not an answer in the form of an essay. Yeah.
No, you're good. It's like June 12th. That is the day. Do you expect to like tour it? Are you going to play like shows around Chicago? Like what about for like a live performance element of it?
I don't know.
Yeah, it's a different animal. Yeah.
The project, like all the songs, I go way overboard on a lot of these songs. Like I was saying to you before, like one of the things I love about writing music is like you can just do whatever you want.
Mm-hmm.
No, there's no rules. And one of the things when I write music that I kind of part of my kind of method is I start off by just writing the song I want.
Mm-hmm.
Like I have my kind of like wish list, here's the things I want to do compositionally. Here's the things I want to do orchestrationally. Like I want to make these things happen. And then I pare it down. If I can't do those things, I kind of cut back. But because I have this, like, I can produce it at home. I have all this software. I have all these things I can do. I just didn't censor anything. So this is a song on the album. The last song on the album is called I Tried to Use AI, but it came out weird. And it's a song about like people typing in prompts and artwork coming out in AI.
Yes.
And every time I ask it for something, it just comes out looking really bizarre. And the song slowly morphs into a song about why you shouldn't use AI for music and art and why you should. There's a line, now that I tried to use AI, I'm understanding why it's important to support creative people instead of a machine.
Yeah.
This, the song and the video kind of slowly turn into kind of a bit of a preachy message about valuing creative artists. And so the song starts off with kind of like some pretty aggressive sounding kind of keyboards and guitars and stuff like that. But as we get toward the end of the song, it just needed to sound like almost like a Paul Simon song, like a 1970s or 60s guitar, kind of like almost like with vinyl kind of crackling in the background. And then it just needed to blossom into a full orchestra.
Cool. Yeah.
And so like, I was like, okay, I'll just do it, and the song just kept getting more and more bombastic and just more and more ridiculous. And there was no one telling me not to do it. And I had the means to do it. So I did it.
So you did it. Yeah.
Long story short, that's just one song, but like reproducing a lot of these songs is hard. And especially because I have a band, but it's our band, the three of us. They're not there to play my music.
Yeah. It's different.
And so I would love to have a band for this eventually. But at this moment in time, I think it would be unreasonable for me to try to do that. I did do one of the songs at a concert a few nights ago, just this one song, and people seem to like it. And, it was just me and an acoustic guitar for a song that is typically a whole band. And so I think there is a version of this project with just me and an acoustic guitar that could work for the time being. And I'm just trying to figure out how viable that is. And then I'll start figuring out, I'll do shows. But I would like to play shows because, I mean, the idea is to connect with children and, to have this project exist only online and never actually be in the same room as the kids who are listening to it doesn't sound like a very appealing prospect.
No, not at all. Okay. In the interest of time, I'll ask you the 5 questions. Oh, here we go. First question is, did you have any backup names for your kids? Like besides naming her Danny, is there anything you almost named her?
The other backup name would have been, so we're a bilingual household.
Okay.
And so Gabriella's grandmother was named Nuri. I don't remember if the grandma's name was Nuri or Nury.
Yeah.
But we ended up using that and combining it with my grandmother's middle name to make the name Nuri Adel, which is now Danny's middle name. So we end up getting to use it kind of still. Yeah.
That's all. What's the other language you guys are fluent in, or what's the other one?
Spanish.
Okay, well, that's what I thought. I just want to make sure.
Yeah, I actually became fluent in Spanish. Like Gabriella said to me, I had been trying to learn Spanish for years, but Gabriella said, either you learn Spanish or we're going to have a secret language to make fun of you in. And so we actually only spoke Spanish with Danny for the first 2 years of her life, and I boot camped it, and now I speak Spanish, and it's one of the best things I ever did with learning Spanish.
Can I just say the amount of respect I have for your partner to be like, hey, if you don't learn this, we're just going to poke fun at you and you're not going to realize it constantly. And that's why you need to learn.
Yeah, no, and I mean, like, here's the thing. I've been motivated. I've been trying for years. I wanted
Yeah.
to learn, but it was just like, it was evading me. And this was, the thing that actually really helped was just reading books in Spanish with
That makes sense.
Annie, and carrying her around the neighborhood and talking to all. We used to live in Logan Square, which is a primarily Mexican and Puerto Rican neighborhood. And so I would walk two dogs with a baby on my back, and everyone wanted to talk to me.
Yeah.
And it was a really good chance. A lot of them didn't speak English, and so they were so kind and were very patient with my Spanish. And I just kind of blossomed over that.
That's cool. Next question is, what's your go-to replacement curse word? Or do you just curse? Or do you curse in Spanish?
Good question. I do sometimes curse in Spanish. I'm obviously not going to say it on the show. My typical replacement curse word is forks and knives.
Forks and knives. Nice.
Yeah. Or sometimes forks and just ridiculous forks and kniversons or forkularities and just something, but forks and knives. The other one, which is in Spanish, is an incredible, I think it's a dad joke itself. Sábana is the Spanish word for like a bed sheet.
Okay.
A sheet. And when someone with a Spanish accent says the S word, that's what it sounds like they're saying. It sounds like they're saying sheet. So he says the word sheet, but in Spanish. So it's like
amazing.
Circle. So sábana is a really good one.
Man, I also love that you would start your replacement curse word with fork. So you get so your body thinks it's about to say the F word, but also it's not saying it all. Because it's got the harsh consonants. It's got two of the main letters you're looking to say. So that's solid. That's good.
Yeah. In Spanish, there's the word for the S word. The kind of substitute that people use is the word for Wednesday. They say miércoles. So if you know what the S word is, you can understand why that.
I don't. But now I'll
look
look it up.
I'm not
later.
going to say it on your.
Appreciate that.
Ruin your show. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. Next question is like favorite activity that you do with your daughter. Like what's one of your favorite things you get to do with her?
Birding. Yeah. We're a birding household.
Okay.
I got into birding when Gabriella was pregnant and eventually was able to get the whole family into it. But Danny just took it on she wants to be an ornithologist now. And she knows more about birds than anybody I've ever met in my entire life. And understands the taxonomy of birds, understands the Latin names and can make up Latin names that sound realistic.
What?
I mean, can do the calls and can recognize the calls. And that's awesome. So, yeah. We just on Saturday went to the woods together and it was all flooded, but we just stood at the edge of the water and just took in all the species that were showing up for the flood and, and then took a walk in a different woods and saw all the warblers were out. Everyone's migrating and I got a bird on my shirt here.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Got a bird on my cup here. I got a bird tattoo here.
Are you listening to Andrew Bird after this phone call?
No, I'm not. No.
That's so cool.
Yeah, so we're birding.
Yeah, that's cool. Next question. What is your least favorite kids show? Like, what's one kids show where oh man, I could never get into this, but my daughter loved it and I cannot stand this show?
I don't like, I don't like to yucky people's yummies. I don't want to say something that people like and make them feel bad about.
Yeah. I can also ask a different question if you don't want to answer that one.
Well, I mean, in general, the thing I didn't like was when she would look at YouTube videos that were just very kind of low budget CGI with music that was just completely just throw offs. I feel like the message that's sent to kids with stuff like that is you don't matter enough for me to put any effort into this.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
And I mean, actually, honestly, seeing her watch those videos was something that really pushed me to want to make kids music, because the converse of that is well, if I do everything and put my all into this music for the sole purpose of just having you enjoy it, that gives you the message that you're important.
Yeah.
And, that you matter. And I did this for you,
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. YouTube is an interesting place. I feel like my kids will want to watch it, but we have a lot of rules around it of you have to watch it. If we're in the room, we got to make sure we got to set time limits on it, because you don't know what you're getting into. You don't know the quality of the production. You don't know the story arc of anything. You don't know if it's all AI slop. So no, YouTube is a very consistent answer of just I don't know what this is, but I don't, it just makes you feel uneasy because you're this could be better in so many ways and you're profiting off of it. So you're not going to see the incentive to make it better, but this could be a lot.
Yeah.
Okay. And if you can't think of, have you thought of a favorite TV, movie dad or anything like that? If not, then I have another question for you.
I can't even think of a TV show that I watch now. Now that you said it, it's just
it got you. The question got you.
I think of TV dads that I think are hilarious.
Yeah.
We know it's actually, I mean, you probably haven't seen this show, but there's a really funny TV dad. Have you seen the show God's Favorite Idiot?
No, I haven't. What is that?
It's a Melissa McCarthy show on Netflix.
Okay.
It got one season. They never renewed it. It was really fun. I love Melissa McCarthy. I think she's a national treasure.
Yeah.
And I'll watch anything that she's in. I don't care what it is.
Cool.
But her kind of boyfriend on the show, him and his dad have a really funny relationship. Like they like to go in the sauna together, and the father keeps saying talk about like having a pleasurable sauna or like pleasuring ourselves in the sauna. Like, and he just keeps saying like ridiculous things like that, not realizing how ridiculous it is.
Yeah.
But, so, there's nothing really that like interesting about the father, but the way he, the kind of even neglecting the ridiculous stuff about the sauna, there's something about the way that they wrote their relationship that it's just so clear how much this guy just like adores his kid.
Yeah.
It's not even like no one knows this show. No one cares about this show.
Yeah.
There's something just really funny about their relationship, about how, just like, it's very clear how much he cares about him. And it's just like, I don't know. I find it just really, really endearing.
Yeah. That's cool. That's awesome.
It's not
That's sweet.
that memorable of a figure on the show. Not even a major figure on the show,
No, but you know what? With the time he gets on screen, clearly he does something where you're like, oh, that's fun. That's charming.
Yeah.
And then, okay, last thing for you is just like moment for self-promotion. So like Instagram, where do we find your music? All that stuff. You can also promote your other, like your main band and not just your kids' band as well.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I'll start with my kids' album. The album, the band is, the project is called DadJoke. The album is called Fun Intended. It comes out on June 12th. You can go to dadjokemusic.com. That's my website. There's also, I'm still putting up my Bandcamp, which is going to be dadjokemusicforkids.bandcamp.com. Nice. My YouTube, which is youtube.com/ I think there's an @ symbol and then DadJoke Music for Kids.
Okay.
And then Instagram.com/ and then it's DadJoke Music for Kids, but there's like an underscore between each word.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so the album it'll be streaming on all the platforms, and you can buy it I'll have it available for purchase on Bandcamp.
Nice.
My other project, my band, is called Paper Mice. You can find us on, I don't even know what our Instagram is. We're on all the streaming platforms.
Yeah.
We're on 31G Records. You can find us at any of those places. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there something else that you said?
No, I think that was it. I just said promote, like how can we find you on socials? Where are you and everything? Yeah, I think you did it. You checked all the boxes.
Okay. Yeah. And I think there should be some singles coming out soon from the album.
Yeah.
I think the first one's going to be called We've Got the Squiggles, which is going to be like a movement song that
nice.
I think I might have had like 50 to 75 different instruments on it when I did. Like I went way overboard with that one.
Yeah.
It should be really fun. And then I think the AI song might be the other one, but I haven't decided yet.
Cool.
So yeah.
That's awesome. Well, hey, David, I really appreciate your time. And thank you for discussing anxiety. Thank you for discussing mental health, because I think every dad experiences it. And I also deeply believe that like you should talk about this stuff because it hopefully lets other men look up and be like, hey, how am I doing? How is my mental health? And then they learn to love themselves and people around them more. And I think that's really freaking important to talk about.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. It's been really, really great getting to talk to you.
Yes. Great talking to you as well. I'll message you later just about life and stuff. So thanks for being a good hang. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Take care.
Thanks. You too.
Thank you so much for listening to the episode. Make sure to follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at The Imperfect Dads Podcast. And make sure to give us 5 stars wherever you listen to us. Music, editing, and production is all done by me. Make sure to tune in on Mondays and most Thursdays for new episodes. This podcast is part of the Never a Face Network. Make sure to go to neverafacednetwork.com to learn more about them.